What's up everybody? My name is Coach LeeAnn and today we're going to be going over the shoulder press. It might seem like a very simple move, but there's a lot of things that can kind of go wrong and interrupt your shoulder health. So let's go over the basics first. You're always going to start with the weights out in front of you, or you can grab them from the rack and sit down with them. Then you're going to pick them up and load them onto your knees. After you do that, you can then go ahead and drive them up to your shoulders. So one of the first things that you really want to make sure to do is have full control over the movement. Meaning you're going to load the movement up into the shoulder and then drive and squeeze through. A big mistake that we see a lot of times is people pushing and pumping their arms out and locking those elbows, throwing the weight up above their head in a place where there really isn't a lot of control or contraction. So you want to make sure to keep it nice and strong at the top. You don't, a little trick, you don't even have to really lock those elbows out too much. So you never want to drop down below your shoulders with the weights. You always want to keep them slightly above. So you can see my elbows are right even with my sternum, and then I'm going to drive straight up. So as you can see, I maintain control of the weight the entire time. I didn't let the weight drop down on me, and I didn't have to drive and press above. So hand in hand in keeping control of the weight, you need to know what the proper range of motion is. So I'm going to make sure my elbows sit right around my sternum area, and we're going to drive up like a cheerleader, keeping them slightly apart from our shoulders. A lot of the times people hit those weights together here, and there really isn't a contraction of the shoulder at this point. It actually fires up more into the neck. So if you feel your neck fire up during a lot of things, unfortunately, you're going out of range of motion and we're not working the shoulder, which is what is intended. Something that happens a lot during this is we arch our backs a lot, and we can get a lot of back pain. So we're gonna make sure to keep a nice, strong posture, bring the weight down, loading it up, and then we're gonna drive, squeeze through it. And then when you're done, you can bring them down safely to your knees and drop them below. So another big mistake that we see a lot is where we have our angle of our shoulders. A lot of times people like to go very military, which is straight out to the side, but that can cause, you need a bigger range of motion for that, and it can cause a little bit of impingement. So if you're having a little impingement in your wrist, elbow, or your shoulder, go ahead and try to bring your arms into more of an angle, like a 45-degree angle, and it'll be revolutionary for you while still working the shoulder. So that's pretty great. Another big trainer tip that I like to tell my clients is making sure that the weight stays right above the elbow so that you can drive those elbows up and through the weight. Because if the weight comes out this way and you go to kick and you go to press, you're not pressing in the proper direction. So we have to make sure that the weight is right over the elbows so that we could drive with really strong power. Something else you want to make sure you think about is having a nice, strong, and sturdy foundation. Even though it's an upper body movement, you need your entire body to push this weight. So make sure your feet are flat on the ground, you feel strong in the bench, and your core is also prepared and ready to go. So now I have my foundation locked and loaded. I'm going to load those weights right on top of my elbows, which is locked into my body. Then I'm going to drive those elbows up and through, squeezing those shoulders, returning back down to load the muscle belly up, and then I'm going to drive back up again, nice and strong. So notice how I'm not dropping and driving, I'm loading and squeezing. Very big difference. Load and squeeze. Well, there's a lot of variations like seated barbell overhead press, standing barbell overhead press, machine press, or seated and standing dumbbell. You really do want to make sure to master this dumbbell one first without having to worry about getting around your face with a barbell. So if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and be sure to share it with a friend.